Hi, everybody. Welcome to the John Myer podcast. Today's topic is AWS Cloud Financial Management, or CFM. Joining me today is Bina. Bina, thank you so much for joining me.
Happy to be here.
All right, Bina, before we jump to our topic of AWS CFM or CFM, how about you give everybody a little backstory on who you are and what you do at AWS?
Absolutely. My name is Bina Khimani, and I am Director for Product Management and Go to Market here. And what we do is really, our focus is entirely on how do we help our customers get most value out of their AWS investments. So, wherever they are in their FinOps journey or cloud financial management journey, our commitment and focus is to really help them figure it out that how can they reduce their spend, how can they get visibility into optimize, understand where they are spending their money on the cloud investments and get maximum value out of it.
Well, Bina, let's talk about our topic, CFM. What is Cloud Financial Management?
Cloud financial management refers to a set of practices, tools, and resources that focus on helping customers understand where they are spending their money on AWS, uh, helping them really get handle around how do they set the baseline and guardrails and understand the governance framework so that they understand how much they should be spending versus what they are spending now, and also helping them put some kind of guardrails in place. So if there are anomalous spend, there is a somebody's breaking the budget, then they get visibility and they can have preventive mechanisms in place to address it, as well as figure out where are the maximum savings opportunities. Are you really utilizing your infrastructure in the best possible way, and drive those efficiencies through those savings opportunities. And it could very well be in making the savings plan commitment, or purchase commitments to get the discounts, or it could be where you have something that is runaway spend and you want to go fix it.
Well, Bina, we're talking about CFM. Can you talk to me a little bit more how you approach some of those problems or solutions with your customers?
Absolutely. So what we are trying to do really is understand where customers are in their journey in the cloud financial management and meet them right there. Some people are in fairly mature state, they have really good cost conscious cultures built in the organization, and they're really driving the right chargeback, right accountability. They have unit cost metrics that they can associate with. For example, I would just take an example of a say bank. Then for every banking transaction, how much is the infrastructure cost for them. So they have visibility into those. They have really accurate forecasting mechanism to understand. Versus there are customers, they are still getting started. They are still trying to understand even where do I begin. So there is a spectrum of all types of customers, and we are really focused on meeting them where they are. We have a series of resources and tools to help them, through this journey and helping them mature as they go through the cloud financial management. Uh, we are actually we have spectrum of tools, but primarily, recently we launched a series of tools, and many of the customers are aware of all the tools that we recently launched. We continue to innovate and continue to work with customers to innovate together, so how we bring most value. But would love to talk about some of our recent launches that many of the customers are still not aware of.
Well, before we get to the most recent launches, I actually got a question because you're talking about the various tools that are available. Some of the launches will actually kind of touch onto some of these tools. But with all these and all these visibility, how are you helping customers really kind of simplify those experiences and make decisions a little bit faster?
That's an excellent question. So because this is such a broad topic, and this impacts millions of dollars of spend and savings for our customers. So it's really really important to understand that there are many personas looking for different types of information. For example, if you are a finance person, you are trying to figure out if anybody is breaking budget or not. If you are an engineering leader, you are trying to figure out where are my maximum savings opportunities. If you are a finops person, you are trying to understand the trend analysis of where your costs are, and by which category, which business unit, which application, and how they are changing over a period of time, and what kind of insights you can drive from there. uh, you are also trying to figure out what actions, how are these workflows, what actions do I need to immediately take? For example, your savings plan is expiring, you need to go renew, you need to queue up the savings plan purchase. So uh, there are all types of things over this entire journey, and different personas need to take care of different actions, and finops leader definitely needs to take a a holistic view at everything while working with all the stakeholders. So what we have recently launched is unified billing and cost management console, where you can go and see the spend analysis over a period of time. You can understand by the categories. You could also, um, as you are looking at it, you could also see that, hey, these are the cost anomalies, or this is anomalous spend, and you can dive deep right from there to understand what is driving, what is the root cause for this cost anomaly. At the same time, you could see, how are we doing against the budget, what are, do I have a savings plan coverage budget. So practically, all the workflows, all the actions, all the saving, what are your maximum savings opportunities, and being able to see that what are the immediate actions I need to take. So all of these things now it brings in one unified console, so that practically everything you need to see is at one place, and you have a really holistic and interactive view where you can go and start working on the the most impactful actions.
Bina, so what you're really saying is that there's different areas that people can see their cost savings or value or handle some of the optimizations, and it really depends upon the persona that needs to interact with those interfaces or within the recommendations that are provided by AWS.
Yes, absolutely. But now they can do everything in one place, and they don't need to go to multiple consoles. They don't need to figure out, am I following the right actions, and things don't fall into crack just because you were still trying to figure out how to navigate.
So you're helping customers kind of like centralize those optimization recommendations.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's another interesting question. So one of the asks we had heard from customers is that there are savings opportunities coming from many sources, in recommendations they receive from many different sources, and they are all very useful and powerful uh, recommendations that they receive. But at the same time, they sometimes don't understand that which one should I be acting upon faster, where there is, there are decisions to be made. Everybody has limited resources, so there are decisions to be made that, hey, if I need to take this action, is it really a significant effort for me to take that action, or is it a is it a low hanging fruit? Then there are, how much savings which recommendation will drive. Then there are even, confusions about, hey, this recommendation says I will save X amount, and this says Y amount, but if I put them together, do I save X plus Y, or is there some kind of deduplication I need to think about? So what are the true effective savings here? So all those types of questions, right? First of all, getting all the recommendations in one place, but also really getting the accurate recommendations. So when you implement multiple recommendations, you truly, how much savings you will realize, knowing that before you take action, and knowing which action I can take easily and faster. So those are some really, really interesting aspects. Some of the customers also worry about that, hey, is this showing me true cost, as in, is this my unique pricing or my discounted pricing in this recommendation? So all those kind of questions, right, helped us think through that what can we do to help customers so they can see all these recommendations with actual cost in a deduplicated way, with all these filters where they can see, hey, what is the most impactful versus what is the most easy to implement, and all these things in one place. And that's where we launch cost optimization hub, and we are getting some really positive feedback, this in this area, that customers are happy to see it all together.
The cost optimization hub, I see the value of it right away. For the simple fact is, I don't think a number of people kind of realize that the cost savings from this console or this screen said X, and just like you mentioned, this said Y. And do I get both of them, or if I make a change here, does this one get changed and valued? Because it's not taking each other into consideration. Now, being able to take in the cost deduplication. Is that a word? Can I coin that word just yet? But if you kind of take that, in fact, I'm going to see a blog post or something come out on it. But if you take those into consideration, it's going to be kind of like a merge, and you're going to get a subset maybe of both, or handling it, or there's a scenario based on when you can get the most savings and how.
Yeah, yeah. So definitely. So there is a blog post for sure. And it will deduplicate. So, your total effective savings from all the recommendations you choose to implement, it will be actual savings that you will be able to see. But at the same time, of course, when you exactly implement at that time, by that time, your usage might have changed. Bunch of things, variables are there. So I wouldn't call it like point to point matching, but it will very close to the exact deduplicated savings that you will be able to see. That's a very, very powerful feature, because it's very hard for customers to figure this out on their own with their homegrown tools or third party tools. So this is definitely very well perceived.
But is there a way that I can customize some of these recommendations for my environment? Because not everybody's environment's the same, where the recommendations may come up, but everybody kind of has a unique type of environment and utilizes X, Y, and Z versus this one might use ABC. Can I customize these recommendations within the console?
Yes. So we recently launched customization of recommendations, and there are, you can figure out how much headroom you want to leave, how much, you can figure out even the memory. So there are a series of things you can customize so that these recommendations are, you for your own organization, you might have certain guardrails and how you are thinking about it, and how you want to make sure that some of the customers are worried about, hey, I'll just take an example of a customer who might have peaks and valleys in their workload, and there might be time when they really have extremely large volume of transactions, and at that time they are really worried about the performance because their systems are really stretched thin, and they want to make sure that for those particular time periods they are really optimizing for performance, and they want to leave certain buffer in their recommendation. At the same time, they don't want to just ignore the recommendation and not take action, or delay the implementation of the recommendation. So customers have their own needs, business needs, criterias, and based on that they want to customize their recommendations so that the recommendations are more easy to sell to the stakeholders, that yeah, you can go ahead and implement it and not worry about it impacting whatever you are worried about, whether it's performance or any other internal metric that they might be concerned about.
Everybody, we're talking about AWS Cloud Financial Management with Bina, and we're kind of diving into some of the features in the cost optimization hub and kind of centralizing a lot of the information. So, for your visibility, different screens for different personas and breakdowns. But, Bina, here's actually my question, because I'm sure you're aware of Kudos and the value of it and using QuickSight. Is there a way that we can integrate this with QuickSight? Is it natively available for? Can we tailor it to our needs?
That's another excellent question. So kudos has been a very kudos for everybody's awareness. Kudos is customizable cost and insights dashboards, series of dashboards that are an outcome of well architected lab, and these are dashboards in AWS QuickSight, and this has cost and usage data, and customers love using these dashboards because now they can these are truly interactive. They can slice and dice the way they like. They can create the views, and anybody who doesn't even have access to, say, AWS billing console or cost management console, they can also see this cost and usage data, so that they can make the right cost aware design decisions, architectural decisions, or whatever business decisions that they need to make. Now, so far, customers had to work off of cloud formation template, and there is a Amazon glue and crawler behind the scene that they walk through to really get the cost and usage data to the QuickSight. Now we have built that as a native integration, so customers don't have to do the heavy lifting of integration behind the scene, and they can get natively AWS cost and usage data in AWS QuickSight, and that gives them this super powerful business intelligence capabilities, where absolutely they can create their own dashboard, however they like, whatever parameters, categories, taggings, business units, application centric views, and they can share the data they want with the right stakeholder, regardless of worrying about, hey, who can see specific data, or who rather who has access to the billing and cost management console. And not only that, at the same time they also have full control over uh, who can see what. So they have row level control over, I want to share only this data with this engineer, they can do that. So it's not like it's wide open and anybody can see everything. But this is a very powerful business intelligence tool, and now customers are just happy to get the data natively instead of going through the integrations on their own.
Bina, is there anything else you can add to that?
A couple of things I would like to add on this, value of the native QuickSight integration is that customers are absolutely loving that they can mesh this data with other elements. Cost and usage is not the only thing customers look at. They look at performance, they look at security, they look at many other metrics, and they want to see it all in context. Now, QuickSight gives you that ability to bring data from various sources, and it's absolutely a powerful BI tool where you can mesh this data and see in context of your business needs. The other powerful thing is that it comes with a series of this native integration comes with a series of inbuilt views already that are created for you. For example, you want to see effective savings plan rate, and you want to be able to, it's super interactive. You can keep diving deep, and once you go to certain view in rest of all these dashboards, you will see the same view. So really, really powerful tool that way, that now you can take this data, you can mesh with other data sources, you can mesh with even like third party data sources and see it all together. Some of our customers say that, hey, I want to see software license cost and infrastructure cost and even human cost all together. How much is it costing me to run, say, mobile banking? So this gives them that flexibility, and again, it gives continues to give you that detailed, granular view as you keep diving deep in these dashboards.
You're talking about the dashboards and providing the value not only for the AWS services, licensing, KPI, and some metrics. You also mentioned kind of like an application. Is it more of an application view, a centric view into it? And how's that possible?
Uh, that's that's a really interesting question, because we are seeing more and more customers being super interested in two elements, and we are working on both. But one is the application centric view. They want to see, that how are my application specific costs. They want to set budgets for the application. They want to figure out and get the reporting of cost and usage for a specific application. So what we have done really is that customers can define their application in the app registry, and once they define it in the app registry, uh, all these AWS application resource tags, which are in the app registry, they are automatically activated as cost allocation tags in billing and cost management console. So now you got automatically activated cost tags that gives you ability to really understand the cost related to this specific application. You can set up budgets, you can set up cost monitors, you could prevent runaway cost, uh, you know uh, you could find anomalies. So everything becomes application centric as we convert automatically these to cost allocation tags.
And tagging, just like it's always been, is super critical and really important because you can tag it down to the like granular of the service, what's being utilized, and tagging is used for those cost features that are available to it. And that's really where I want to touch on, is because the importance of tagging for your environment has always been key. And this allows you to have that, what you just mentioned, the application centric view. You can kind of group them that your application X is costing this amount. Why is it costing that? Or why has the cost gone up or down, or kind of like stayed stagnant, even though things have increased? And I think that's one of the values that you provide, is providing that application, and tagging, just like I said about like three times already, is very critical. But I want to talk about a little bit more about some of the releases that have been that came out for not only just CFM but like costs in general.
Oh, absolutely. So we We are super interested in continuously listening and adjusting our course to understand, what customers want us to prioritize, where they want us to make the investment, what are the most pressing pain points they want us to resolve, or how can we innovate with them as the business needs are changing and we continue to deliver different things. And I'll talk to you, for example, one of the super popular release that we had has been providing historical, granular, and resource level data in the cost explorer. So customers wanted to do multi-year analysis. They want to understand, resource level cost details so that they can understand the cost driver. For example, your data transfer costs are increasing, and you want to understand in detail, what are the drivers for the data transfer cost. Then you figure it out. Okay, it's a specific EC2 instance, or rather, it is EC2 related. Now you want to drill it down to which instance is driving the data transfer cost high. So to be able to get in detail to a specific resource, or see over, earlier we had 13 months historical data. Now it goes all the way up to 38 months. So you want to do year over year analysis, how your cost data is changing over a period of time, and that helps you make the right, business decisions. So all those things are baked into our super popular tool called Cost Explorer. And I have seen that, this is an existing uh, tool that has been there out for a while, and a lot of customers use it. But one of the customer I had recent interaction with, and she was calling out, like, everybody wakes up and reads the newspaper, I wake up and read Cost Explorer. That gives you an idea about, how important it is for our customers, that it is cost is on top of their mind. And I don't know anybody in the organization who would say, I don't care for the cost. So it's so important for the customers, and we realize we need to continue to make, incremental improvements and provide the customers the flexibility and granularity and the resource level insight for many years, so that customers can get what information they need to make the right choices. um, some other launches we have been doing is, now you can customize your right sizing recommendation. We also launched Compute Optimizer, now supports 51 new instance types. So series of things we continue to very regularly, very in a focused way, we continue to build things and solve things for our customers. One of the interesting asks was that, hey, I purchased savings plan by accident, or I made a mistake on the level of commitment I made. So now I want to cancel the savings plan. Can I do that? And this is very interesting, right? Because once you make the commitment, we are planning our business that way as well. These commitments mean something. But we added savings plan cancellation button, because at the end of the day, we want customers to be happy and feel comfortable that they, this the right cloud where they can grow without worrying about the cost.
Bina, I think the cancellation of the savings plan and what I'm calling like buyer's remorse, right? So you purchase it and you woke up the next day going, oh man, I want to change something. I want to do something about it. And now you can go back and do it. And it's been, I don't want to say it's been available, right? But you could kind of contact support and try to go, and it would take too long. And the number one thing that was I was told was it was kind of bogging down support, because it was like they had to cancel it. They had a lot of emails, and now they gave the power to the customer. They talked to the customer. Customer says, hey, listen, I want to be able to do this myself, because there are times that I just got super excited, or I'm new at it and I just went in and purchased a savings plan. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh no, I should have done this, but I didn't. And now you've given the ability for the customer to make those changes, freeing up resources everywhere.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's the best experience for the customers, and that makes them feel comfortable that, you shouldn't be struggling to cancel if you. But I do want to call out, there are some caveats. So
Yep.
when you purchase savings plan, you should always go through the details on what you can or
Yeah,
cannot.
there are a couple that we talked about. I'll highlight one of those is that if you purchase savings plans at the end of the month, you can't cancel it, because it's got to be 7 days within that current month time frame, because they close out the books at the end of the month and then they go into the
Mhm.
other one. So you have to take those into consideration. So the suggestion is, Buy your savings plans within the first 3 weeks of the month, just so that you give enough time that you're not sure about the changing, but don't miss out on those opportunities either. And if you use the right tools, right? So AWS has a bunch of the right tools that you can use to kind of evaluate your environment and when to purchase and purchase those. They're trustworthy tools that you can go do it. You shouldn't have anything to worry about.
Yeah, absolutely. You framed it right. That do it right way. You shouldn't need to cancel, but if you do, then there is an option.
That okay, you just simplified everything I just said in that. One of the things, and we got to wrap everything up, but one of the things that you mentioned right before we talked about the savings plans is cost is a top of mind for everybody, and cost visibility is probably a high rated item that everyone wants to look at, and everyone needs is true visibility into their cost and what they're doing, what they're spending, and immediately. They don't want to wait. They don't want to wait a week. They don't want to days. They want this information right away to make the most informed decision for their company, for their business. So Bina, before we wrap things up, is there anything else you want to talk about or shed some light on for the audience?
Absolutely. So there is this really interesting feature or functionality that we launched, which is called data exports. So everybody absolutely is familiar with cost and usage report. All our customers, business partners, they are heavily utilizing cost and usage report, which is in centralized data of hourly granularity of cost and usage of every single service that they have been using. Now, this is a fairly large data that gets delivered to their S3 bucket. What customers want is flexibility. Not all the time they need everything. And they want to be able to select the columns and rows and run it like a SQL like query where they can get the exact data export they need so that they can consume it in the way they want, because they don't need everything all the time. And when you have such a huge data file being delivered, finding the information you are looking for might be challenging. So they want limited data export, flexible data export, and we launched this cost and usage report 2.0, which is giving the give them flexibility to select what they want and export their data at the frequency they want. And that has been, again, super customers are super excited about it. It's very well perceived. They are also excited that they can, we also added columns like account name for payer account and usage account, so they can make head and tail out of it without looking at the account numbers.
That was our most recent release at reInvent, right? Because
Yes, yes.
I and so I was talking with a colleague of yours, and we were sitting down in the studio talking about it, and he says, account names were added to the current. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, hasn't that always been there? And he goes, no, most people were kind of merging the data and getting it in there. And he goes, you wouldn't realize how difficult it was to update this one line item for it because it affected so many third party billings, everything. I'm like, account names, that just seems like a no-brainer. This is an awesome ad. It's so easy now for customers to tie things up, which account is using what resources without trying to merge them all and kind of tie it all together.
Yeah. And also, c- what we have realized is that customers want to create specific views that they want to give specific engineers, or they want BU specific views, they want application specific views, they want to share a piece of data only with piece of, or rather group of people. And they want that flexibility, and
Yep.
they shouldn't be needing to build those homegrown tools to be able to do that. So this definitely brings tons of flexibility in getting access to the right level of information they need for the right purpose.
Yeah,
Also,
very, very true.
yeah, we continue to innovate, and I have seen that it's really really important for customers to take it more as the whole practice and not just go by tools. So customers need to think about how they are planning, how they're baselining, how they're forecasting the cost, how they are putting the right cost control mechanisms in place, so that they, right out of the gate, there is no cost surprise or billing shock. There are tools like AWS, existing tools like AWS budget, AWS cost anomaly detection. You can set thresholds. Even if you don't threshold and there is a variance, then you can figure out why there is an anomaly and what is driving that anomaly and do root cause analysis. There are tools that help you optimize. There are tools that help you drive chargeback. And that's such an important area. Even if you don't charge back, even just showing back, giving the stakeholders visibility into how they are spending, and that drives certain behavior, and that drives the overall cost conscious culture that is so important. Because as we all know, right, in the cloud world, you can just turn on the tap and not worry about it, and you might be incurring bill that you didn't intend to. And any new intern can get on the bus and can turn it on. So it's really really important to put the right guardrails in place, drive the right culture of thinking about cost. You might be generating certain recommendations continuously. Maybe you don't need those recommendations generated continuously, and at certain interval will drive you significant savings for you. So are you thinking about cost when you are designing the application, when you're architecting application, when you are putting the operational processes in place? So this is more of a mindset, culture, practices and tools, and not just a set of tools. So I want to make sure that we take that message, that think about it as a part of planning, think about it as an ongoing practice that needs to continue to grow and mature and evolve. And one of our customers, some of our customers, I learned really interesting and mature practices they have in place. For example, somebody talked about how they have, ranking of the application, that if they are implementing the recommendation, they are driving the right cost conscious culture and behavior, and their applications are cost efficient, they get certain star ratings. And the customers, or rather parts of the business units which are not implementing those recommendations or continuously ignoring for whatever reason they might have, then they need to explain why they are ignoring. So that's a little internal governance process, but that drives awareness. And this is not at the bottom of the pile. And if you think about, right, earlier, I'm talking few years ago, right, that security team had to chase engineering team to get the right security guardrails in place. And it was an afterthought. I'm talking many years ago. Now, security is at the forefront, and everybody follows the right practice and puts the right guardrail. It's not like I'll do if I have time and if I want to. This, the cloud financial management or cost management is in that journey right now. Customers are really getting it and really putting the right guardrails in place. But very soon, this will become, with all the generative AI workload, cost is becoming again a hot topic for customers to think about, that how is it going to drive my cost. So putting the right guardrails, right governance mechanism, right processes and tools, and best practices in place, altogether it drives tremendous savings. Nobody should be worried about can I give access to all the resources or all the services to all the developers. They should have systems in place so that they don't worry about such thing. And that's where I think the maturity comes into place.
Being the right guardrails, the right security, and the right policies in place are key. And the reason that I would agree with you 100% on it is because skill set is also up there. Before, when you were training somebody or somebody was new to your environment, you would give them complete access and they could deploy whatever they wanted in the environment. When you come to cloud, and you touch on this a little bit, where somebody might go deploy something and leave it up and running, not awareness, not building that
Mhm.
awareness into it, that it's going to cost money. So that skill set right there of understanding that at any given point, an intern can go deploy out the most expensive instance, and then all of a sudden their internship's done and they left it running. And now they've got a huge bill that they got to pay for. Having the right guardrails in place, anomaly detection, things that are going to spike up when certain things happen, and shutting down. This is all a culture thing, just like the security was, where everybody was like, hey, listen, you got to do security. And now security is top of mind. And now it's building the right application, installing it, designing it right. All those things come into mind, and it's security. And then it's going to be cost, and everybody's going to be thinking about these as they move forward. Well, Bina, I got to wrap things up. Thank you so much for joining me for the AWS Cloud Financial Management topic.
Happy to have the opportunity to talk about our favorite topic, and we are always here. Any help customers need or any feedback anybody wants to share, reach out to us. We love to hear from you. So thank you, John.
All right. Yep. Thank you so much for joining me. Everybody, this has been the John Myer Podcast. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and notify because guess what? We're out of here.